WWF, what the world is watching. Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Guys, and welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade, now at episode 177. And this week we close out the month of January 1989 in the World Wrestling Federation. Wow. I am Ray Russell, and can you believe it, guys? We've already tackled 1 month here in the 1989 project for, well, actually 5 weeks of TV, including the first ever Saturday night's main event here in 1989, and of course the Royal Rumble event over 2 parts. Not to be outdone, we also talked all the news and house show results for January 89 as well. Lots of stuff covered, but we still got 1 more weekend of TV to go before we move on to the month of February. And it all kicks off this week with the January 28th edition of the WWF's Superstars of Wrestling. Away we go, WWF Superstars, January 28th, tape back January 3rd, Huntsville, Alabama, Von Braun Civic Center, Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura on the call. As we head off to ringside for tag team action, featuring the tag team champions, Axe and Smash, Demolition, taking on Tommy Causey and Alan Kinsey here this week. We get an insert promo right out of the rip from Mr. Fuji and his Powers of Pain. Fuji, of course, vowing that his new team will be the new tag team champions. Before too long, the Warlord and the Barbarian. Meanwhile, in the ring, Tommy Causey going to get the beatdown to get things going here. Total mauling for the first 2 minutes here on poor Causey. Stepping on Causey's face is Smash at one point, pummeling him down into the champion's corner. Nasty backdrop as well. Nasty landing anyway for Causey. And a backflip bump off of an Axe clothesline. Man, Tommy is eating everything here that Demolition is putting out. Then finally, in comes Alan Kinsey, who is immediately tossed to the floor. Then back inside where it's demolish and destroy, followed by the Demolition decapitation, putting Kinsey out of his misery. The demos go over 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Boy, they look ready for any team coming for those tag team titles. And right now we go off to Update and Mean Gene Okerlund talking about the recent super pose down at the Royal Rumble.
From the pages of the World Wrestling Federation magazine, here's Update.
Hi again, folks. I'm Gene Okerlund. Recently, at the gigantic Royal Rumble in the Summit in Houston, Texas, we experienced the super pose down between Ravishing Rick Rude and the Ultimate Warrior. Myself, along with the capacity crowd and millions across the country, witnessed 2 of the World Wrestling Federation's greatest physiques. Courtesy Coliseum Home Video, let's go to the footage of the super pose down. I have never seen the Ultimate Warrior in that position, in that condition. Bobby Heenan, Rick Rude may have won the battle, but not the super pose down, and the war is still to come.
Ultimate Warrior, you think you're a winner? Well, you're a stinking loser. Hey, I walked out from the super pose down with my head held high and feeling good. How did you feel?
All right, so they show us some highlights there. Of course, Bobby Heenan with the water bottle, squirting it in the face of the Warrior. Rick Rude attacking from behind with a flex bar, taking the Warrior down, choking him out with said flex bar, and leaving the ring. The Warrior waking up, coming to, not a very happy mood, taking out all of the officials in sight, including one Nick Bockwinkel. Very fun there. Then we went off, as you heard, to a promo from the Ravishing One himself, Rick Rude, vowing that the Ultimate Warrior is no winner. He's a stinking loser. Rick Rude proved it when he walked out of the ring. The winner, Ravishing Rick Rude of the Super Pose Downer. I'm sure the Warrior going to have a lot more to say about that. The reigning Intercontinental Champion UW. We'll be hearing from him before the end of this episode of The Grenade, I guarantee. But right now it's back to the ring singles action, featuring Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig out there, taking on Paul Bryant. And Perfect with a nice takedown at the beginning of the matchup, walking over the back and even stepping on the head of Bryant. Awesome heel stuff there from Mr. P. Meanwhile, and holy shit, a job guy getting an insert promo. Paul Bryant in an insert promo, of all people, says there's no such thing as a Mr. Perfect. He's fixing to show us that right now. Is that so, Paul? Let's see what happens. Oh, the irony. As we cut back to the action, Hennig still in control, slapping Bryant around. But Paul standing his ground. Not a fan of Hennig's work in the ring, but Mr. Perfect luring Bryant into a drop toe hold, then turning it into a Indian deathlock where Hennig continues to slap Bryant some more. And there's nothing he can do about it. Pinned down in the Indian deathlock there. Aggressive offense here from Mr. Perfect. But Hennig gets a little too cocky and turns it to a running clothesline from Bryant and a scoop slam. Hey, Paul's on a roll here. Lays in a few shots and whips Mr. P to the ropes. But Paul looking for a backdrop, telegraphing a backdrop. Hennig stops short with a boot to the face. And then Curt, super cocky, showing Bryant how you throw a backdrop. Now that's how you do it. What a dick. And of course from there, it's the perfect plex to get the win here for Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig. 2 minutes and 48 seconds. Fun squash. Hennig dominating, very aggressive. Got a little cocky near the end and lets the face land a few moves, which gets the crowd up, only to be foiled with the perfect plex. Good TV match. I'll take it any day. Mr. Perfect, one of my favorites of all time, if you don't know by now. Looking forward to seeing what he does here in 1989. But for now, we head off to the event center with Sean Mooney standing by. You can hear from the likes of the Bushwhackers, Luke and Butch, and this pair, Dangerous Danny Davis and his manager, Jimmy Hart.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney back at the Event Center. Jimmy Mouth of the South Hart. Since day one being here in the World Wrestling Federation, he has surrounded himself in controversy. And that a result of surrounding himself with some very controversial wrestlers. What about the Honky Tonk Man? How about Greg the Hammer Valentine? Also, recently in his camp, the Fabulous Rougeau brothers, Jacques and Raymond Rougeau. And don't forget an ex-referee who knows every trick in the book. He's Dangerous Danny Davis.
Look at this, Danny. The list just goes on and on and on. Look at all the people you've gone through, baby. We've got open contracts for anybody, right, Danny?
That's right. When we started this, we said we had open contracts for anybody. So everybody stepped right up and said, let's face Dangerous Danny Davis. He's a new guy. He's a former referee. The greatest referee there ever was, I might add.
Number one.
And now I'm knocking him down one after another. Open contracts, gentlemen, for anybody. Anybody who wants to wrestle Dangerous Danny Davis. All you got to do is sign on the dotted line.
You know, I'm going to start calling you champ.
Well, joined by his manager, Jimmy Mouth of the South Hart, Dangerous Danny Davis, perhaps at times overshadowed by the other wrestlers associated with Jimmy Hart, but there is a reason he is called Dangerous. There's a new tag team here in the World Wrestling Federation. They are the Bushwhackers.
Whoa! Yeah! You know, Cousin Luke,
What's that, Cousin?
I think 1989 is going to be the greatest year ever.
I can smell excitement in the air.
Excitement, Cousin Luke. It's going to be the year of the Bushwhackers.
Bushwhackers year.
And not only are we in the greatest country, the USA, meeting the great American people, we get to meet and wrestle the best wrestlers in the world today.
The WWF cousin.
Yes, the WWF. That's it, Cousin Luke. And when the going gets tough, the Bushwhackers get going.
Yes, we do,
So here we are, Cousin Luke. We're ready to do it. Bushwhacker style.
Yay!
Well, Davis back with Jimmy Hart for the short term anyway. Not really sure what's going on there. Jimmy kind of abandoned Danny right around Survivor Series time. Haven't seen him with him since then. And I don't know how long this is going to last either. But in order to push Danny for the house shows, Jimmy Hart back by his side cutting promos here in the event center, talking about open contracts. Danny Davis open to wrestling anyone. Meanwhile, we also get a little bit there from Luke and Butch, the Bushwhackers, who are coming from all comers, but specifically perhaps the Fabulous Rougeau brothers. And speaking of, up next, Nintendo Entertainment System presents the Now You're Playing with Power feature this week, and it is of Jacques and Raymond, the Fabulous Rougeaus, and their Fabulous Rougeau Bomb. And then it's back to the ring for the Mighty Hercules, taking on Tony Burton. And big news at the top of the matchup, we learned that Herc will battle the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, as part of this Friday night's big main event program in prime time on NBC. Wow, that is big news for the Mighty One. Speaking of, we get an insert promo here from Ted DiBiase, who vows to finally, once and for all, make Hercules his slave this Friday night. Ted will be Hercules' Lord and Master. Gotta love the $1 Million Man there. Meanwhile, in the ring, it's total power and total control from the Mighty One. Hercules delivering the torture rack backbreaker to get the submission win on Tony Burton. Match goes 2 minutes, 31 seconds, and a nice little squash for the Mighty Hercules as he readies himself for primetime national TV against the $1 Million Man this Friday night on NBC. Big things coming. Wait till you hear the main event for the main event. But right now we go back to the event center once again. Sean Mooney now going to speak with the likes of Tito Santana, Arriba, as well as Andre the Giant and manager Bobby Heenan.
We are back at the World Wrestling Federation Event Center. To become a superstar here in the World Wrestling Federation, a wrestler must possess 3 things: size, strength, and above all, desire. Well, Tito Santana is definitely a man who possesses all 3. The former Intercontinental Champion and Tag Team Champion is ready for 1989.
You know, I had some falls in 88, but 89 has really taken off great as far as I'm concerned. You know, to see Rick Martel making a comeback, to me, has made me as happy as anybody could be. After a serious injury, he is back. I'm going to wish him all the luck in the world. Somewhere down the line, you know, I hope that we can team up again. But he's going to go his way, I'm going to go my way, and hopefully the both of us will be looking at people down eventually. We're going to have some tough matches, without a doubt, single matches, because that's what we're doing now. And I guarantee you that people know what we can do. The people know that when we step into the ring, we fight. Para toda la gente que nos está escuchando, este mexicano aquí sigue representando a todos ustedes por todo el mundo y me da con gusto. ¡Arriba!
With the familiar sound of Arriba, Tito Santana, definitely a superstar to keep your eye on here in the World Wrestling Federation. There's a man we are about to hear from who it is very difficult not to keep your eye on. He's 7'4", over 500 pounds, Andre the Giant.
There's a lot of tough guys in the World Wrestling Federation. A lot of guys think they're big and they're bad. But nobody has the record of this man. Nobody's undefeated. The only man ever to defeat Hulk Hogan, then get stripped of the title by the World Wrestling Federation. Never lost the Battle Royal, never's been pinned, never gave up. And all you other guys think you're tough because you carry a 2x4 or you have some kind of an animal in a bag. You're a bunch of nothing.
You guys can come in the ring anytime you want, anywhere you want. You are welcome. Because I will show you what it is, professional wrestling. I will show you that the Giant way, because the Bobby Heenan family are the best one, and we're going to stay the best.
Well, comments from the very vociferous manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan, along with his wrestler, Andre the Giant. Andre out to prove he suffers from no phobia, and most of all, he fears nothing here in the World Wrestling Federation, and that includes Damien. Andre the Giant, a true superstar.
Tito admitting he's had some falls in 1988, but he's hopeful for 1989. It's always good to be hopeful, Tito. Wishing Rick Martel luck in his return to the World Wrestling Federation, hoping to team again down the road. I bet you do. So Tito cutting a promo as much for Rick Martel there as he did for himself. Meanwhile, more from Andre the Giant, Bobby Heenan. Very generic promo there. It felt like Andre might be moving on from Jake the Snake, but that is not the case for the time being. But we will move on back to the ring for tag team action featuring the Brainbusters, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, with manager Bobby Heenan in their corner, taking on White Lightning, Tim Horner, and Jose Luis Rivera. Busters already in the ring for this one. Intro's already done. Not really a fan of that for your up-and-coming tag team. They're just in the ring and the action begins. Really fun babyface team, though, for Rivera and Tim Horner out here. Both very capable talents, working Arn's arm to start. Tully tagging in, but Horner surprises him with a crossbody for a 2 count. And these guys know each other very well from the Crockett days. Horner and Arn and Tully, I would say. Horner holding his own with a slugfest to Tully Blanchard, and he drop kicks Tully back into the corner. Horner runs up for a flying head scissors on Tully, but with Tim high in the air, Arn running across the apron, grabbing Horner by the head, dropping him down, throat first across that top rope. Always Love that spot. Great setup there by the Brainbusters, who take control of White Lightning. Quick tags here by Arn and Tully. Horner still, however, surprising Tully Blanchard with a sunset flip out of the corner, and Tim going to dodge a corner charge from Blanchard as well. Finally make the tag out to Jose Luis Rivera, who comes in with the hot tag to Tully Blanchard. Middle rope drop kick. Very nice drop kick there from Jose. Arn going to break that cover up, which brings in Tim Horner, all 4 men in the ring, and referee Joey Morella ushering Horner back to his corner. The Busters behind the back of the referee, landing that nasty spike pile driver, taking Rivera down and out. The Busters going to get the win, 2 minutes and 29 seconds. I guess you could say Bustin' makes them feel good here. In 1989, Arn and Tully successful once again, looking great on their way up the tag team scene. But right now, it doesn't get any bigger than this in the tag team scene. We're going to go off to the Brother Love Show. His guest, as promised last week, the Mega Powers. The reigning WWF champion, the Macho Man Randy Savage, and Hulk Hogan, no doubt the lovely Miss Elizabeth by their side.
Now, brothers and sisters, this Friday night, coast to coast on national primetime television, will be probably the greatest tag team match of all time. It will pit the Mega Powers up against probably the most awesome, the largest, and the greatest tag team of all time. And I'm talking about the Big Boss Man and the African Dream, Akeem. And they're managed by Brother Slick, and they are known as the Twin Towers. And I believe the Twin Towers will mark the downfall of the Mega Powers.
Well, you know, Brother Love, there's one thing that you've been right about since you've been in the WWF, and you said it right out here. This is going to be the greatest tag team match of all times. The Mega Powers against the awesome Twin Towers. But you know something, Brother Love? This Friday, the whole world's going to be watching this. You're right about that. But this just wasn't a flip of the card. This just wasn't fake, man, that this match came together. There's a real long history between the Mega Powers and the Twin Towers. First off, the Big Boss Man, the Hulkster himself right here. I was the first one to feel the lick of the stick, man. I know what the Big Boss Man's all about. And the Macho Man, Randy Savage, he knows what the stick's all about, too, don't you, brother?
Felt the pain, yes I have. And I'm gonna tell you something else. Hulk Hogan, Akeem, is a man that thinks he's got a lot of soul, but what he's got is 457 pounds. You felt the damage, and I felt the damage that he can do. Brother Love, you're right about one thing. This Friday night is gonna be the greatest tag team match of all time, yeah.
Well, you know, Brothers Mega Powers, Brother Love is a very perceptive man. You know, and I can sense love. I can sense when there is love in the air, and I can also sense when there is not love in the air. And you see, the only love that I feel at this time is the love generated by Brother Love. You see, because there just doesn't seem to be the affection that once existed between the Mega Powers, which makes me wonder just how powerful are the Mega Powers.
Well, first thing, Brother Love, all these Hulkamaniacs and the Macho Man and the lovely Elizabeth, we know what kind of love you know all about. That's the love of money, Brother Love, and the love you've got for your benefactors, and that's not gonna take you to the bank. The type of love here that we're experiencing that you know nothing about is the Mega Power Triangle of love, brother. All you gotta do is take one look at the Macho Man when he stares at Elizabeth, when she stares at him, when their eyes meet. The power of love is so strong between those two, I'm surprised they just don't melt in their tracks. That's the love between a man and a woman. But you know something, Brother Love? I love Elizabeth just as much is the Macho Man does, but in a different way. I love Elizabeth like a sister, like blood, like if 10 Twin Towers tried to hurt her, I'd fight to the last dying breath. But also, brother love, there's another love that you don't understand about. That's the love I have for the Macho Man. It's just as strong as Elizabeth. I love him like a brother. And if any one of the Twin Towers or anybody was ever trying to hurt Macho Man, just like we proved in the past, we'll stand there and fight till our last dying breath. Ooh, yeah! Brother Love, you want to know how powerful the Mega Powers are? Oh, yeah. Everybody knows that the Twin Towers are big, strong, high buildings, yeah. Larger than any buildings in New York City. These guys are big and bad. But I'm telling you something right now. They may be earthquake-proof. They may be typhoon-proof. They may be tidal wave-proof. But when the Mega Powers, the strongest force in the universe, goes against the Twin Towers, it's gonna be like a fault line going right through their foundation. And the Richter scale is gonna spin around 42 times, go into orbit, and you're gonna see the Twin Towers come crumbling down, yeah.
Well, you know, brothers and sisters, reading back through time, there was one character, well, one woman to be exact. I believe her name was Jezebel. And you know, she always seemed to be at the root of all evil. You see, it always seems at the root of all evil, there stands a woman. Which brings me to wonder, will your manager, Miss Elizabeth, maybe be more of a hurt than a help?
You know, Brother Love, you're borderline, man. But right now, I'm gonna explain to you that there's gonna be a whole lot of help and there's gonna be a whole lot of hurt in this match. As far as the Mega Power goes, Elizabeth is our foundation, man. She's taught us how to tear the Twin Towers down one block at a time. And if something happens, we can wipe out the whole foundation and destroy them all at once. But you know, on the other hand, Brother Love, there's gonna be a whole lot of hurt also. Because Macho Man, you remember a few weeks ago when the boss man grabbed Elizabeth's wrist, man, when he tried to drag her over to Akeem, who was foaming at the mouth. You saw the hurt on her face. All that hurt on her face, we're gonna return to the Twin Towers. And all I got to say, brother, when the smoke clears, it's gonna be the towers or the power standing. And what are they gonna do when the Mega Powers and the lovely Elizabeth comes running through, brother?
All right, so there we have it. The Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan, the Mega Powers, and they are unquestionably together all the way. We'll find out which is the more powerful force, the Mega Powers or the Twin Towers this Friday.
Well, Brother Love, starting off talking about Friday night, this Friday night live on primetime national television, the greatest tag team match of all time, when the Mega Powers step into the ring to take on the largest team and maybe the greatest team of all times, if you trust Brother Love, talking about the Big Boss Man and Akeem, the Twin Towers, the Mega Powers versus the Twin Towers. Out come the Mega Powers, Hulk and Randy Savage. Of course, Hogan has to speak first, naturally, agreeing that this is indeed the greatest tag team match ever, dude. And everyone is going to be tuned in Friday night. Randy Savage concurring with that. Hulk discussing the long history between the Towers and the Powers, as we see a few clips spliced in from the past few months. Brother Love says he can sense love in the air, but he can also sense when there is no love. And Brother doesn't seem to see the one-time affection between Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan. Hogan, though, talking the Mega Power triangle of love, brother. The power of love between Savage and Liz, the love between a man and a woman. But Hulk, he loves Liz just as much as the Macho Man, but in a different way. Do tell, Hulk. No, Hulkster says he looks at Liz like a sister, like blood. But yet there's still another love in the air, the love of Hulk Hogan for the Macho Man. Just as strong as his love for Elizabeth, the Hulkster loves Randy Savage like a brother. Brother. Yeah, Randy Savage putting over the Twin Towers, stating that they might be earthquake and typhoon proof. Wow, talk about foreshadowing. But something about breaking a Richter scale here, and the Twin Towers will crumble at the hands of the Mega Powers. Brother Love then turning his attention to Miss Elizabeth, who he refers to once again as Jezebel, the root of all evil. A woman is always at the root, says Brother Love. Says Liz may be more of a hurt than a help, if you know what I mean. Hulk says Miss Elizabeth is the Mega Powers Foundation, dude. Hogan then referencing when Big Boss Man grabbed Liz at Saturday night's main event. The hurt on her face. Randy Savage coming for revenge here this Friday night. He hasn't forgotten what the Boss Man, what Akeem had planned to do to Miss Elizabeth. Hulk Hogan all about putting over the triangle of love, brother. Randy Savage very confident in the Mega Powers winning their matchup against the Twin Towers, but the Macho Man never really references Hulk Hogan here at all. Nothing about the love within the Mega Powers from the WWF champion. Very telling. The story continues this Friday night, and boy does it ever. You'll want to stay tuned for that, but right now we go back to the ring for the in-ring debut of the Brooklyn Brawler, also managed by Bobby Heenan, the Brawler's opponent here, Reno Riggins. And as the match gets started, we get an insert promo from the Red Rooster, who plans to run right through the Brawler to get his claws, or hands, on Bobby Heenan. Cluck, cluck. Well, it is bizarro world in the ring right now as we see the former Steve Lombardi accompanied to the ring by Bobby Heenan. Very weird to see indeed. Not yet in his Brawler type gear either, that we become accustomed to in the weeks and months and years to come. Rather here, Steve Lombardi just in a leather hat, black boots, and black tights. What? Brawler, though, swatting Reno with his hat to start the attack. Total onslaught here of your basic heel work. Lombardi having to work a little extra aggressive to get people to believe after what they've seen for the past 5 years. But it's all the very basics of a heel is what you see in the ring here. But a superplex, of all things, going to finish Reno off. The Brooklyn Brawler going over in 2 minutes and 23 seconds. And as I said, after 5 years of doing jobs on WWF TV, it's going to take some getting used to watching the Brooklyn Brawler not only getting wins, but with complete dominance like he did here against Reno. Just felt weird, but we won't have to get too settled in on the Brawler as a threat outside of his work with the Poultry Man. We've got a feud on our hands, though, people, and I'm not so sure who this is supposed to be helping. At first, I thought Terry Taylor was finally getting a push, but now I'm leaning towards grooming the Brawler as a potential future star. No matter the way you shake it out, the Brooklyn Brawler has arrived here in the World Wrestling Federation, and it's straight back to the ring. More singles action, this time involving Jim the Anvil Neidhart and his opponent, Jerry Price. As it appears, the Hart Foundation going back solo again. We get an insert promo during this matchup from Greg the Hammer Valentine, who promises that the next time he gets a hold of Neidhart, his figure four will break the Anvil's leg. Meanwhile, in the ring, it is the Anvil, Jim Neidhart overpowering Price, so Jerry Price trying to go for the eyes of the Anvil, but that only pisses Neidhart off. Nasty forearm thrown through the chest of Jerry Price, launching backdrop, sees Jerry nearly land on his feet before the Anvil following up for the big power slam, flattening Price in the middle of the ring, and it's over in a mere 55 seconds. Jim Neidhart, your winner here this week. Kind of weird feud right now. They sort of just put Honky and Valentine together to feud with the Hart Foundation about a month ago. But for now, the feud seems to have broken off into solo matches, as Vince McMahon again going to try and give Bret Hart a run in the singles department off and on for much of this year. So you form one team in Honky and the Hammer, you sort of loosely disband the other in the Hart Foundation, and yet they're in a feud together. It's something to do, I guess. Jim Neidhart and the Hammer. What a barn burner, coming to a local house show near you. And before we go back to the ring for our final action here this week on Superstars, we hear once again from Big John Studd, cutting yet another promo talking about himself. 6'10", 385 pounds of solid muscle. I don't know about that. Stud says he's back and he's better than ever, calling out the Doctor of Style Slick and his Twin Towers, as well as any member of the Heenan family. Big John Studd going straight to the top here in the World Wrestling Federation, the winner of the 1989 Royal Rumble, and looking for bigger things here upon his return to the World Wrestling Federation in 1989. As we head off to the ring, you want to talk about a guy who's looking for bigger things here, currently gunning for the WWF Championship, worn by the Macho Man Randy Savage. In the ring, it's Bad News Brown taking on Steve Reese, and per the usual, the job guy has his back turned to Bad News, who attacks before the bell. Do none of these jobbers own a TV set? Do they not know what Bad News does to start off a matchup after a year in the company? Have they never seen a Bad News Brown squash at this point? Well, that's what you get, Steve Reese. Typical mauling here ends with the always awesome Ghetto Blaster. Gonna give Bad News the win in just a minute and 39 seconds. But what comes after? Ooh, buddy. Post-match, Bad News gonna chuck Reese through the ropes out to the floor, and it looks nasty. Even in the instant replay, it appears Reese dives straight through the ropes and down onto his head and neck. Ugh, that couldn't have been pretty. Wish we had a different camera angle to really pick it up, but my goodness, what a nasty landing for Steve Reese. And Bad News Brown going to get yet another win here as he continues his street fight battles with the Macho Man in the house shows. And right now we go back to the event center one more time here on Superstars. Sean Mooney going to bring up interviews with the likes of Rugged Ronnie Garvin and Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Welcome back to the event center. Rugged Ronnie Garvin, aptly named Rugged because that is exactly the way he is in the ring. He is a newcomer here to the World Wrestling Federation, but he is a ring veteran and definitely a man to keep your eye on here in the WWF. Right now, Rugged Ronnie Garvin is standing by.
If you got a reputation to be a tough guy in the sport of professional wrestling, you got some problems. Well, I've had problems all my life. You see, I've been on my own. I've wrestled all over this world. And ever since I've been in the WWF, it is the toughest, the best there is around. And you got men like Greg Valentine, Mr. Perfect, the Russian, the list goes on and on. But I didn't become a tough guy by playing piano or playing ping pong. No, I spent hours in the gym. And I thrive on pain, and I thrive on being the best. And so far, I haven't done too bad. I've made a lot of money. There's a lot more money to be made, and there's a lot of titles to be won. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to back down from anybody. I don't care if you're 6'10", 300 pounds. I don't back down.
Well, Rugged Ronnie Garvin, he plans to stomp his way through the World Wrestling Federation. And if you have seen him in the ring, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He is one proud American. And right now, he is standing by with the red, white, and blue.
Yeah, folks, I'm proud of this flag, and I'm proud of all the people. People from my family, people from your family that gave down their lives, that sacrificed to keep this flag flying free, to keep this country brave. That's why when Hacksaw Jim Duggan has a chance to raise Old Glory over my head, you better believe I'll stomp down there 110% with my heart pumping and my lungs pumping. I'll have only one thing in mind. That's to beat my opponent up and to raise the flag high. And folks, you know me, if things get a little bit out of hand, well, Hacksaw Jim Duggan is not too shy about grabbing my 2x4 and the stars and stripes. Tough guy? Oh!
Garvin admitting that the World Wrestling Federation has the toughest guys around, and Garvin thrives on being the best. He can't wait to get his hands on the WWF Superstars. Meanwhile, a very pro-America Hacksaw Duggan out here talking the good old USA tough guy. As we learn next week here on Superstars, it's going to be the Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior, as well as the Big Boss Man, the Red Rooster, going to be here. The Fabulous Rougeaus brothers going to be with us. Beyond that, it's the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, Shawn Michaels, and Marty Jannetty, the Rockers. Wow, what a card so far here for next week on Superstars. And feature match, going to see Bret the Hitman Hart in singles action against former stablemate Dangerous Danny Davis right here next week. Now that's a lineup. And if all of that wasn't enough, next week on the Brother Love Show, Jake the Snake Roberts. And as we close out this week's Superstars, we have closing comments from the Doctor of Style Slick and the Twin Towers about this Friday night.
You know, this Friday night, on national television, the whole nation will have an opportunity to observe the Twin Towers in action. And you know who they're gonna focus their wrath on? It's gonna be you, mega powers.
We can't wait. The only problem we got is deciding whether to chain them together or bring Hulkster to both of you. No matter. Me and Akeem are gonna take you down and dish out nothing but pain and punishment for you.
Oh, brother.
So until this Friday night, this is Vince McMahon along with Jesse Dibiase saying so long from ringside.
All right, so a hard sell there for Friday night's main event program in prime time on NBC. And the last time, guys, if you recall that we got the main event on a Friday night, it was Hulk versus Andre about a year ago in the Twin Hebner angle. You never know what's going to happen there live on NBC. And now we know this time around the biggest tag team match in history is the way they're promoting it. The Mega Powers versus the Twin Towers. And let us not forget the Mighty Hercules battling the $1 Million Man. And before we move on to more weekend goodness, let's take this quick WrestleCopia timeout.
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at USWApodcast.com.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here. Lots of new stuff happening here at WrestleCopia, and I want to update you on everything going on with the brand right now. First and simple, if you haven't checked out our website at WrestleCopia.com, it's a great way to keep up with the latest episodes of all of your favorite Copia programming, from the Wrestling Memory Grenade to Regional Wrestling with the Territory Talk, the Wrestling Stoop with the legendary Bob Roop, Professor Dan Ginnity and the Pro Wrestling Academy, and all the other great podcasts from Gene Jackson, Bob Smith, Dave Dynasty, and the boys from the Other Ship. And of course, all of those programs also available at your favorite podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the Copia world, all the latest news, random thoughts, fun videos, pictures, and more, make sure to join the more than 33,000 followers over at Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. Don't be left out. Please also follow us at the former Twitter, now X, at Wrestling Grenade, and subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. Would also greatly appreciate you leaving us a 5-star review at your favorite podcast apps, guys, because every positive review makes our podcasts more visible in the algorithms, if you will, which allows us to continue to grow. Now, for those who have been asking about merchandise, WrestleCopia merch, you can find plenty of designs for our t-shirts, hats, magnets, stickers, coffee mugs, and more over at the TeePublic store. That is tpublic.com/user/WrestleCopia. And last but definitely not least, it's what keeps the entire machine going. I'm talking about patreon.com/WrestleCopia. Now with 3 major tiers and tons of Patreon exclusive next level content for our supporters. Remember guys, no subscription, cancel any time, but I think you'll like the content that we're offering there for any budget you may have. And you can sign up right now, patreon.com/WrestleCopia. We appreciate your support in helping us pay the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network running and enabling us to continue to bring you all the quality programming that we offer.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
Welcome back, everybody. We're jumping in right now to Wrestling Challenge for January 29th, 1989. All right, challenge for January 29th, tape back January 4th, Birmingham, Alabama at the Jefferson Civic Center. We're going to get Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan on commentary here, and it's off to the ring. We saw the Anvil on Superstars here this week on Challenge. Kicking things off, it's the Hitman, Bret Hart, taking on Barry Horowitz. As we get an insert promo early on from former manager Jimmy Hart, who says the Honky Tonk Man will knock a little sense into the Hitman when they step in the ring. Of course, the Anvil feuding with the Hammer, the Hitman has Honky Tonk. And before the match gets going, a little pat on the back from Horowitz, and off comes the Hitman Shades as away we go. Bret Hart working the arm of Horowitz early, countering some Barry offense, lands an inverted atomic drop. Then from there, it's a methodical beatdown from the Hitman, leading to a nice backbreaker, setting up his patented pile driver maneuver that we only see in his singles matches, but the Hitman going over 3 minutes and 17 seconds. Looking sharp here, does Bret Hart now, back in solo for the time being, as we go off now to Special Report with Lord Alfred Hayes, focusing once again on the super pose down. Only this time, we're going to hear from the other side of things, the Ultimate Warrior.
Hello everyone, I'm Lord Alfred Hayes with this week's Special Report. Recently at the World Wrestling Federation's Royal Rumble, the Ultimate Warrior and Ravishing Rick Rude had the occasion to show just how perfect their physiques were in a one-on-one pose down. However, the main stipulation in this Battle of the Bodies, held in Houston, Texas, was that the people would be the judges. Let us look at the closing moments. Following this outrageous attack by Rick Rude, the Ultimate Warrior is still fit to be tied with anger. Here are his fiery words.
That super pose down was your creation, your challenge. Now you must deal with the creation of all the unpleasantries in the entire universe. As I feel the injection from the gods above, I only know that the Ultimate Warrior is totally out of control.
Well, UW says Rick Rude created the super pose down, but now he must feel the creation of the Ultimate Warrior, who is totally out of control. Anywho, we continue on tag team action in the ring. The Warlord and the Barbarian. We saw the champions, Demolition, on Superstars. It's the number one contenders, you have to imagine. The Powers of Pain out here with manager Mr. Fuji taking on Rick Allen and David Studemeyer. As we get an insert promo here from Fuge the Stooge, promising his Powers of Pain will dethrone the champions Demolition before too long. In the ring, David Studemeyer having trouble trying to slam the Barbarian, but Barb having no troubles reciprocating, slamming Studemeyer over and over again. Beatdown for poor David, beatdown for poor Rick Allen as well. Barbarian landing that nasty big boot, oh doom, before the Warlord with a flying shoulder tackle. Warlord then grabbing Allen, hoisting him up in a bear hug-like position as the Barbarian comes flying off the top rope at the clothesline, giving the Powers of Pain the win, 2 minutes and 37 seconds. We talked about the Demolition looking great as champions. The Powers of Pain look ready for a title shot. As we go back to Sean Mooney here on Challenge this time, we're going to hear from the likes of Old Baldy, the Outlaw Ron Bass, and the Mighty Hercules.
And we are back at the event center. Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney. The outlaw, Ron Bass, recently the victim of Brutus LaBarber's shears, and these days the outlaw is sporting a new look. And believe me, this has not given him a new outlook. He is as ornery as ever. Right now, the outlaw, Ron Bass, is standing by.
1989. Have you people made a few resolutions out there that you think you'll keep? I guarantee the big old outlaw, he's made several that he will definitely keep. 1989 is going to be the year of violence. 1989 is going to be the year of victories, and 1989 is going to be the year of paybacks for many, many people. 1989, there'll be no more Mr. Nice Outlaw. 1989, the big old outlaw is just going to show you exactly what pain, what destruction, what agony's all about. And I guarantee you, a lot of those little goodies out there, they're not going to like it one little bit.
There are several adjectives that could be used to describe the outlaw Ron Bass. I would say nice is not among them. The Mighty Hercules, he's still wearing the chains, but he's also still a free man. He's standing by. Let's hear from the Mighty One.
You know, everybody's got their trials and tribulations, and everybody's got their cross to bear. And the Mighty Hercules isn't a man to stand up here and complain to you people. He's just not that kind of man. Everybody knows what I'm going through. They know I've been branded an outlaw. It seems like everybody's coming out of the woodwork. They're looking for the Mighty Hercules. I guess the $1 Million Man has laid out some money. And then the brain, Bobby Heenan, he's been talking in some people's ears. It seems that they want me real bad. But that's okay. They can come get me. The Kurt Hennings. The Bad News Browns, the Ted Dibiases, the Virgils. You can all come on, because I'm going to stand here and I'm going to remain a free man.
Well, comments from the Mighty Hercules. He has long stated he will never bow to any man here in the World Wrestling Federation. That includes the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, King Haku, or anyone else for that matter. He is definitely a superstar to keep your eye on, marching his way to the top of the WWF.
Well, Hercules going to remain a free man, and that has to go for this Friday night as well. But the Outlaw says 1989 going to be the year for Ron Bass. Well, that could be so, Ron, but I don't know about in a wrestling ring. And speaking of wrestling rings, oh man, we're headed back to ringside. Dangerous Danny Davis standing in the ring with his once again manager, Jimmy Hart, at least for the time being, at least for these TV tapings. And on commentary here, Bobby Heenan says he's been talking to the manager, Jimmy Hart, to prepare Danny Davis for this match right here, as the Dangerous One is slated to take on the Red Rooster, complete with brand new theme music. Oh yeah, poultry in motion. The Red Rooster, Terry Taylor, strutting his way to the ring now. We get an insert promo as this match gets going from the Brooklyn Brawler and Bobby Heenan, warning said Rooster more beatdowns to come after the brawl on Primetime Wrestling. Meanwhile, in the ring, basic arm work by Terry Taylor early on, and of course, they also used the match to sell the upcoming main event this Friday night. Nice short clothesline by Dangerous Danny, going to cut off the Rooster. Davis looking for a backbreaker or maybe a body slam attempt, but the Rooster countering it into an inside cradle, which Danny completely fed him. And the match goes 2 minutes and 55 seconds. The Rooster defeating Danny Davis, countering a slam into a cradle, which Bobby says, I taught him that move. Bobby taught him the counter to Danny Davis's slam there. Hi, what does this say for Dangerous Danny, who's a stepping stone, it would seem, to a match against the Brooklyn Brawler? Hell, what does it say about Terry Taylor, who can't even beat Davis definitively here, leading into a match with the Brawler? What does this say about anyone involved, really? Weird push for the Red Rooster. Air quotes around push. But that happened, and my biggest takeaway out of all of that, the Red Rooster now complete with theme music. And you gotta love that. As we continue on, more action in the ring. Gonna see the Canadian strongman Dino Bravo with Frenchie Martin by his side. Dino taking on Scott Casey, the Cowboy. Frenchie waving the Quebec flag high as Dino begins the match with some stiff-bodied shots. Very robotic shots there from Dino Bravo, but catches Casey's crossbody, turning that down into a big slam. Scotty, though, going to come punching back, fighting his way back, but Dino reversing a whip in the corner and goes back to working the lower back of Scott Casey. Lots of body slams in this match. Lots and lots of body slams from Dino Bravo. Finally going to finish Casey off with his patented side suplex, Jess. Going to get the win, 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Man, between Jim Duggan's clotheslines and Dino Bravo's body slams, those must have been some really barn burner matches on the house shows. As we head off now to the event center, Sean Mooney once again going to hear from the likes of the Birdman, Coco Beware, and the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
And we are back at the World Wrestling Federation Event Center. There are several high flyers here in the World Wrestling Federation, but few fly as high as the Birdman, Coco Beware. Every arena he steps into, he lights up. And right now, he has landed long enough to give us a few comments. Right now, standing by is Coco Beware and Frankie.
Oh, yeah! What about it, Frankie? Yeah, brother! We feel good, brother, because you know why we feel good? Because we don't take a backseat to nobody in the World Wrestling Federation. We don't care who they are, brother. That's right, bigger they are, harder they fall, brother. That's the reason why they call us the Birdman, brother. That's right. That's the reason why they call us the Bird, because we love to fly all over the ring, brother. We love to have a good time. So I'm going to tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen. Sit back and enjoy yourself every time you see the Birdman flap his wings and do his thing, brother. Because I'm telling you right now, you got the best excitement coming your way, brother. Coming from the Birdman along with Frankie. And I'm going to tell you another thing, opponents. Get ready and beware of Coco Beware.
Keep an eye out for Coco. Beware, he may be flying your way. In other action around the World Wrestling Federation, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, he has long stated he will not rest until he has a championship belt around his waist. He's standing by with Virgil.
You know, I travel all over this country and around the world, and I go to many coliseums in all the major cities and even the little cities of this world, and people continuously, they boo me, they jeer me, but I understand that. They boo me and they jeer me simply because they cannot rise to my level. They have a mentality just like all of my opponents. They have a class. You're in a class all of your own. Where me, on the other hand, I have my fans. They are a select few that I approve of. And you people out there, you're not in the same league. Just like all of my opponents, you're in a class by yourself.
The Birdman, always flying high because, well, he's a bird, man. And Ted DiBiase, one of the top heels in the World Wrestling Federation. It feels like his feud with Hercules running on fumes here. We're going to see what's next for the $1 Million Man as we go back to the ring. For this youngster, it is Rick Martel returning to the World Wrestling Federation. Martel's opponent this week, Dale Veazey, the future Lieutenant James Earl Wright of the State Patrol there in WCW. We get an insert promo here from Rick Martel thanking the fans for their support while he recovered. But now he's back, better than ever. Martel avoiding a VC backdrop attempt early with a cartwheel around Dale here. And right back in control is Rick Martel, who manages to backflip himself over top of a hammerlock to counter and then cartwheeling over a drop down by VC as well. Really good stuff here from Rick Martel, who has the answers for everything Dale is putting out there. VC can't seem to get the advantage. Nice drop kicks from Rick Martel, leading to a Polish hammer. Wow, a Quebec hammer perhaps, taking VZ down with that double axe across the chest, setting him up for the Boston Crab and the submission win in 2 minutes and 30 seconds here. Rick Martel going over, and it seemed like the crowd sweetening for this matchup because the fans didn't seem to be doing a whole lot, but you heard a lot of cheering on the screen, which is unfortunate because I love me some Rick Martel, but this was taped even before the Royal Rumble. So he wasn't even officially back yet when they were filming these tapings. And I'm sure in due time, Rick Martel will make his mark once again. As we go off now, special interview time over on Superstars. Brother Love had the Mega Powers. Here, Mean Gene Okerlund has the Doctor of Style Slick and his Twin Towers.
The African Dream Akeem and his tag team partner, the Big Boss Man. This Friday night in Milwaukee, the Twin Towers are going to be facing the Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan and a Macho Man, Randy Savage. What about this one, Slick?
Let me tell you something, brother. This Friday night, nationwide, brother, coast to coast, the people are going to have an opportunity to observe two of the most dominant forces in professional wrestling history. I'm talking about two of wrestling's premier super heavyweights. And you know what, Macho Man Randy Savage? You know what it's like firsthand, brother, to have to deal with the wrath of the big African brother right here, Akeem, brother. You know what it's like when he shoots you in those turnbuckles and then lines up full steam ahead. And Hulk Hogan, brother, you know what it's like to deal with the big stick and the wrath of the jumpers.
All right, gentlemen, I want to take it up with you.
Check the eyes on him.
Coast to coast in prime time.
You know, I've heard rumors that the Mega Powers like to stick together. Well, this Friday night in Milwaukee, when I chain you both together and you're screaming like dogs,
Guy's excited.
begging for mercy, we're going to stick together, all right? Stick together right upside your head.
Dangerous man.
All right, then you, Akeem.
Yo, brother, this Friday night nationwide TV. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, Mega Powers. When the smoke clears, brothers, the Twin Towers are on top.
Wow. Slick, finally.
You know what's going to happen this Friday night? The Twin Towers are going to make history, brother. They're going to be the first ones to hand the Mega Powers defeat.
I can hardly wait for this Friday night. Oh.
So it was the opposite of what we got on Brother Love, the Mega Powers. This time we see the clips once again of the Twin Towers dominating the Mega Powers in past altercations, with the Boss Man and Akeem backing here that they will finish off Hulk and the Macho Man this Friday night on NBC. It all goes down, brother. Really quick promo here from the Twin Towers, just getting them on the TV to get over the big matchup. Again, when is it? This Friday night on NBC. As we go back to the ring for tag team action featuring Luke and Butch, the Bushwhackers, I do believe making their challenge debut this week. We saw them on Superstars last week. Their opponents, a couple of unknowns. I don't have the names here. Not sure the job guys here. Usually I can figure it out, but there's no announcement at all for these guys. And one of them has a very unique haircut that I don't recognize. But I'm going to see if they pop up in the next episode, still part of the same taping, and maybe we can figure out who at least one, if not both of these gentlemen are. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but the Bushwhackers seem legitimately over with the crowd. Remember I talked about crowd sweetening for Rick Martel? Didn't need it here. Even if it's just the kids going nuts, they're going nuts. To be this early in their run after a bloodthirsty heel shtick for basically the entire career prior, this is what I would say is living proof, those WWF vignettes. They work, mate, to say the least. But before the action can really get going, we get this insert promo from the Fabulous Rougeaus, which I encourage you all to take a listen to.
Look at Jock, look at these disgusting foreigners coming into our United States to wrestle. Our United States.
There should be a law against foreigners coming and getting our work. There should be laws to put you guys out of the country. Why don't you leave right now?
Wow, what a promo. What a clever selling point. The Rougeaus, of course, now all American boys, they don't want no disgusting foreigners like the Bushwhackers in their country, their United States. Jacques going so far as to say there should be a law against foreigners moving to the U.S. and stealing their work. Holy shit, what an awesome promo. What assholes, the Rougeau brothers. How do you get a feud over with the Bushwhackers? Like that, right there. You got to love the hypocrisy of Jacques and Raymond. And it appears the Rougeaus are now moving on from the Hart Foundation based on that promo and are gunning for the Bushwhackers. Well, fun promo. I don't know about the matches, but I enjoyed the promo. In the ring, Gorilla Monsoon, he likes these whackers. Bobby Heenan, meanwhile, thinks they need a keeper. Monsoon suggests maybe Tony Garea, fellow New Zealander, as their manager. I wrote, fuck no, here in my notes. How do you make the Bushwhackers worse? Give them Tony Garea, the charisma vacuum. Meanwhile, in the ring, it's all Luke and Butch in control. Battering ram leading to the double gutbuster. Going to give the Whackers the win. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Bushwhackers, no doubt, on their way to WrestleMania 5 as we get a bumper here for the big pay-per-view coming up. WrestleMania coming April 2nd, 1989, returning to Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino. Can't wait to see what headlines that there at WrestleMania 5. Won't take long to find out, but right now we go back to the ring. More action, this time closing out challenge with King Haku. Bobby Heenan and his corner. A lot of the Heenan family members in action this weekend. King Haku, the last of the bunch, taking on Josh Stroud. Bobby Heenan asking the fans to rise and bow before the king, before the matchup can begin, but to no avail, the fans not having any of it. We do get an insert promo, however, from Big John Studd, the winner of the 89 Rumble, calling out Haku. Studd says if Bobby Heenan sends the king after him, Big John gonna take the crown and knock Haku off his mighty throne. Well, I'd like to see you try, Studd. As we go back to the ring, quick scary strikes here from Haku. Nice standing dropkick, barefoot dropkick to the mush of Stroud. However, Josh gonna manage to get a little momentum, firing back, landing some shots, but he misses a clothesline. Haku ducking under, and as Stroud turns around, right into the thrust kick, right to the face of Stroud. Down goes Stroud. Haku gonna get the win. 248. I say it all the time, that thrust kick does it every time. And once again, King Haku, your winner here on Wrestling Challenge. And it looks like Big John Studd may be coming after Haku, maybe coming after the Heenan family. Studd not waiting back for anybody to come after him, that's for sure. As we go off now to our final event center this week, Sean Mooney going to speak with the likes of the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. We're also going to hear a singles promo from the Anvil.
Welcome back to the Event Center. As newcomers here in the World Wrestling Federation, the Rockers felt they had a lot to prove. And indeed, they did. They had to show everyone that they were not going to be pushed around and that they could indeed be contenders for the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship. Right now, standing by are Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty.
You know, 88 was a good year for the Rockers, but 89 is going to be better. And we can't control everything, but one thing we can control is the way that people think about us. And you don't take us serious. You think we're teeny bopper boys. Well, this year, we're going to change our style just a little, enough to let you know that we're for real. And Brainbusters, you're the ones that started it. You're the ones that showed us we need to show everybody a little tougher style, and that's what we're going to do.
That's right, Joe. A lot of people may not agree with the Rockers' lifestyle. We like to do things differently and live life on the edge. But we've never been one to point fingers or step on toes. Well, Brainbusters, you stepped on these toes, and a lot of other people have been stepping on our toes. Well, in 89 is going to be a lot different. The Rockers going to be doing the stepping, and everybody else is going to be turned tail and running because the Rockers are coming down, and 89, they're going straight to the top. Yeah. Woo!
Well, comments from the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, with plans to use a tougher, rougher style in the ring. Also a message for the Brainbusters. Right now, standing by is Jim the Anvil Neidhart with a message.
Don't worry, Jimmy Hart. Be happy.
You see how happy I am, huh? Do I look happy?
No, I'm not happy at all.
I am not happy at all. You're taking the foundation, you got Valentine, you got Honky Tonk, you got the Rougeaus. You think you're building up a real dynasty, aren't you? I bet your brain's going 1,000,000 miles an hour.
There's just one little problem about that, Jimmy Hart. Your men don't have it right here. They don't have any heart.
They might have a brain, but they don't have a heart. And the heart controls the body, baby. The heart is everything. And that's what you don't have.
Well, comments from Jim the Anvil Neidhart, not exactly the most stable wrestler here in the World Wrestling Federation. And he is bound and determined to get even with Jimmy Mouth of the South Hart and the rest of his camp.
Well, Shawn Michaels said, hey, people might not agree with the Rockers' lifestyle, but they're not teeny boppers either. But they warn, Brainbusters beware. You stepped on the Rockers' toes, and now it's their turn to retaliate. The Rockers are indeed tag team specialists. Woo! We also hear there from the Anvil, Jim Neidhart, talking Jimmy Hart's stable. Neidhart doesn't fear any man. Of course, he's currently lumped into a feud with Greg the Hammer Valentine and loosely with the Honky Tonk Man, depending on the day. And we finish out the program next week on Wrestling Challenge. Wow, listen to this lineup. Talked about how stacked the Superstars card is. Let's look at Wrestling Challenge. Going to feature the likes of Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Tito Santana, the Brooklyn Brawler. Yikes. Somebody save this show. Also on the show, Bad News Brown, the Mighty Hercules, and, well, the Brainbusters are here next week on Challenge. Going to be an interesting episode of Challenge indeed. See if we can stay awake for it. Beefcake, Valentine, Tito, Brawler, Bad News. I don't know. We'll figure it out, guys. But as we close out Wrestling Challenge, we have closing comments. We heard from the Twin Towers earlier in the program. Now we're going to hear final words from the Mega Powers leading into the big event, the main event, this Friday night.
This Friday night, the Mega Powers versus the Twin Towers has been billed as the greatest tag team match in all of professional wrestling history. But there's a reason for that, man. The two most positive forces, the Macho Man and the Hulkster, are going up against the two biggest, nastiest negative forces in the whole universe. Oh yeah, we've both felt the big boss man in the lick of his stick. We've both felt the big bag of Akeem, man, in his 450-pound splash. But the Macho Man can explain to you why they're called the Twin Towers, can't you, brother?
Yeah, Twin Towers supposed to be disaster-proof. Yeah, earthquakes, typhoons, yeah, tidal waves. Nothing can bring them down because of their size. Yeah, but they've never felt the power of the Mega Powers. And we'll bring them down brick by brick.
Mega Powers, the strongest force in the universe. Our foundation is greater than theirs. Elizabeth, the First Lady of Wrestling, is our foundation. Slickster, you're the weakest link in their foundation. What are they gonna do when the Mega Powers destroy them?
Yeah, the Mega Powers sound ready for the greatest tag team match in wrestling history, I believe is how they're billing it. And it all goes down very soon here on the Grenade, part of the main event. And boy, you want to talk about a big angle alert. It doesn't get any bigger than this Friday night, so stay tuned. You don't want to miss that episode of the Grenade. And this week, we're going to close out the program talking a little bit about primetime wrestling for January 30th, hosted as always by Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. Now remember, last week Gorilla said they'd be on location, off-site from the primetime studio this week. They are indeed in Tucson, Arizona, in an old Wild West town you'd see in the movies, the old Westerns. Kind of a prop town here. I guess you could pay for a day, walk your way through, meet and greet with the town folk, if you will. Of course, Gorilla and Bobby all over the set here in the saloon, having a lot of fun, doing a lot of comedy bits here, Bobby Heenan. And it begins Gorilla's revenge on the brain here for what happened to him a couple weeks ago when the Brawler cracked the Gorilla with that bar stool. Monsoon going to get his revenge, sweet revenge, as they continue next week on primetime. Another week here on location in Tucson in this wild western town. Bobby Heenan going to play a part in a movie. He's going to play the stuntman, as you guys will find out. Lots of fun bumps coming for Bobby the Brain Heenan. Lots of comedy here. Not really good. Doesn't really transition to audio very well, but great in video form. If you guys are just into Bobby Heenan being Bobby Heenan, the comedian, it starts here, and we got another week of it next week. Bobby going to take some fun bumps there as part of Primetime Wrestling the first week of February. But right now we close out January Primetime. Just one exclusive matchup. Tape back January 4th in Birmingham. Simple Squash sees Ronnie Garvin go over on John Ziegler with the pile driver. 2 minutes and 51 seconds. Now, of course, the Hitman back in solo work, and his finisher is a pile driver. And since Bret Hart's been here much longer than the former NWA World Champion, Ronnie Garvin going to be forced to change his finisher up here before too long. Unfortunately, you notice Garvin getting squash matches more often than not on Primetime Wrestling rather than syndicated TV, which doesn't bode well for his push here in the WWF. But right now, we're going to wrap things up, guys. Obviously, the big story here this week, the main event coming this Friday night, NBC, live on NBC, I should point out. Hercules versus the $1 Million Man on the card, but also the main event, the Mega Powers, Hogan and Randy Savage battling the Twin Towers of Akeem and the Big Boss Man. And spoiler alert, even though it's been about, say 36, going on, 37 years now, the Mega Powers are preparing to explode, and you do not want to miss that when we get there very soon on the Grenade program. Now, first, we're going to get into some news, look at some house show results, maybe have a guest on if the schedule lines up for it. But we're not too far off from the main event. Coming in just 4 days' time from the date this primetime aired. Going to be a big night, a change in the scenery of the World Wrestling Federation that will rock the foundation for ages to come here in the company. But for right now, we're going to wrap things up. Just another quick reminder, please stop over WrestleCopia.com. Check out all the great podcasts we've got going on and all the video casts we've been putting out at Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. Dan Ginnity and the Pro Wrestling Academy video cast, the Coliseum video cast with Gene Jackson, the big ones. Recently covered Royal Rumble 89, more on the horizon there in the big ones. Regional Wrestling Unreal has been unreal. Jamie Ward, the guest, more often than not there, cranking out the Regional Wrestling video cast. We've put out more than a dozen in just over 2 months' time. Unbelievable. All of that and so much more going on right now over there at Patreon. I encourage you guys to go check that out. But for now, we're going to wrap up the Grenade. Be back soon with another edition, kicking off February news and looking at some of the results for the month of February right here next time out. Until then, this is Ray Russell saying from pillar to post and coast to coast. You pull the pin, and I'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. See you next week. Don't miss it. Be there.
Jock, look at these disgusting foreigners coming into our United States to wrestle. Our United States.
There should be a law against foreigners coming and getting our work. There should be laws to put you guys out of the country. Why don't you leave right now?